Geeks and Gamers, Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today we have another flip through for you. But before we jump in, I'm dedicating this flip through to my wife, Lisa Lemke, because she was a proud supporter of our Kickstarter last year for Through Gamer Goggles, and I think she'd be pretty good at slaying giants because she's smart enough to do it alone. So this one goes out to her for her support and for her intelligence, and well, for so many more things than just her support. She does a lot of work on the website and the blog behind the scenes. So you guys don't really get to see her name much, but she helps with a lot of the stuff in the back end. So if you have any questions, comments, or things you'd like to see to the blog side of things, let me know and I'll pass them on to her, or send us an email. And that's at gamer-goggles.com. And please check out our Kickstarter. I'll put it like over here or something. Plus it was at the beginning link, and there'll be another link at the end. So stay tuned. But today we're taking a look at Pathfinder's Player Companion Guide. And it's the Giant Hunter's Handbook. It's a interesting book. It starts off right off the bat with Know Your Giants on the first page. No map of known regions, and that's probably because giants tend to be spread out and scattered individuals. So they live in small clans, packs, families. Sometimes they get together and they do other things. So it's important to note, one thing this book keeps driving home is that giants are social creatures. And as you can see in this book, there's not a lot of text, and the introduction's a couple pages. It goes through a few things, and then it talks about preparation. I gathered from reading this book that preparation is an important part. I would even say when you start talking about the different giant layers, you're still talking about preparing to hunt a giant in the proper format. And then when all else comes in doubt, there's a small section on bargaining with giants, which includes new skill options and possibilities. Here's a plant notion that you can do with bluff and diplomacy if you've already got those two skills. And then there's In the Shadow of Giants, which this is kind of a cool section. And for those of you that don't know it, here is an iconic character here, Amiri, with the frost giant that she has slain, and that is the sword that she took from him. That is pretty much sums up her story. But what In the Shadow of Giants does is it goes through and it lists new regional traits that are based and themed with giants. For example, forests, jungles, taigas, and wooded areas are enchanted by giants. You are familiar with the primeval magic of forest-dwelling giants and have witnessed their close attention to natural world around them. +1 trait on survival bonus checks and spellcraft checks. You can always take spellcraft checks to identify spell-like abilities. So the book is full of things like that. And then there's a section briefly on other giants, and it talks about how to prepare for them and different character options, things like that. And when I say, other giants, these are generally creatures that are not considered giants. Here's a real good chart to show you the sizes. Grab a pen here. You've got your human over here, in case you can't read that. Your hill giant, which is roughly twice the size of a human. And then your stone giant, and then your frost giant is almost double the size of the stone giant, who's a little bit bigger than that hill giant over there. And then you've got your fire giant, that's probably about 18 feet now, about 16 feet, 18 feet-ish for your cloud giant, and then you've got 21 feet for your storm giant. And then there's a little section on some fluff background on some of the different giant hunting organizations. And now we're about halfway through the book, and one thing I want to point out is there's not a lot of art in this book. It is full of meat and content. Some of the things that they do with giant hunting organizations is organizations. How about organizations, Matt? As they come up with some teamwork feats and they list them out. Like this one is darting retrieval. When an ally who also has this feat disarms an opponent, the disarmed item lands within your melee reach. So there's some interesting things there. Some of the cooler things are actually when you get into the magic with this, which kind of makes sense. Nothing's going to put things back into perspective more when you're dealing with giants, I think, than magic or some kind of science. So technology, which I didn't see any gunslinger feats that I remember, and that would have been a good one for this book, I think. How to bring a giant down to size or something like that. That would have been interesting. Anyway, they introduced some new archetypes, and one of the archetypes that I liked was the Titan Fighter, because he's a little bit more universal than just the giant. At least with his first level ability is a Titan Fighter can wield two-handed melee weapons intended for creatures one size category larger than himself. That makes I think that makes it gives the character a lot of flavor as a fighter. He's not necessarily allowed to do a lot more things, but it gives him a certain versatility that's not just focused towards giants. And then they have a whole section. Well, it's not a super whole section. It's about a page and a half, 2 pages long, on battling giants, and they consider basically tactics here. They go over countering reach, fighting at range, flanking. They introduce some new feats, and here's a good one: Giant Bane Caster. You can apply your specialized knowledge of giants' weaknesses in order to make your spells harder for giants to resist. Just an interesting idea and concept. There's some new giant slaying equipment. This is non-magical equipment. The gecko gloves, for example, are designed to give you a competence bonus to climbing. They also enable you to climb with only one hand, but at a -5 penalty. And then there's some new spells, and actually there's one spell that I think just makes it's beautiful. That's Steel Size. Basically what you do is, it's a 2nd level spell for Blood Ragers, Druids, 3rd for Maguses and Wizards. 3rd for Magus. Sorcerers and Wizards are 2nd level, and a Witch is also 2nd level. It's standard action, but basically what you do is you cast it on a giant, the giant shrinks in size, and you increase the size. That's the basic of that spell. There's some new magic items. A couple of them are pretty interesting. Which one did I like the most? I'm not really sure which one was my favorite. I kind of like the Shrieve Blade because it shrinks the enemy's weapons. But kind of not. It's one of those things. There's all these weapons are good and they're unique and they fit the flavor of this book, but they're not necessarily a weapon that I would want to own to round out my character. But if I was going hunting, these are definitely things I would look into purchasing or going on a side quest to find. And then one of the last things they cover in the book is a player's guide, and this is kind of interesting because it takes a different approach to things. And what they do is basically they list out different traits that you can learn or give to your character based on different things. For example, you might be an artifact hunter. In the artifact hunter, you gain a +1 trait bonus on spellcraft checks to identify the properties of magic items and a +1 trait bonus on used magic device checks, which is kind of cool. And then there's a little bit more to it than that, but all these different things fit into the flavor of how you might become a giant hunter. For example, one is dwarf trained. It gives you a +2 dodge bonus to AC against creatures with the giant subtype. Doesn't stack with bonus granted by defensive training trait. And then on the last page, well, they have an advertisement for what's next month, which I'm going to try and pick up Giants Revisited. We're going to see what else is out there and available. But the last page, one of the things they do is they give you using giant equipment. And basically they give you resizing spells. They have one that's resize item, and then they have resizing with special abilities. So you can put these on giant items that are, either not magical and mastercrafted or are already magical. And basically you can give them the fitting category, which is for armor and shields, and anybody who wears it, it fits them. I don't suppose it would just have to be anything for giant. You could do it with any piece of armor or shield doesn't have to be of a larger size. So if you make it for a gnome, you know, I mean, think of what it can do for a whole army. It's only 2,000 gold. It's pretty slick. You know, and then there's the resizing, which basically resizes weapons. And then there's the ring of perfect sizing, which is lustrous gold ring, highly malleable, and always fits perfectly after being worn for 24 hours. The ring allows the wearer to resize one weapon or suit of armor to her size. You know, if you're going to a land of giants, pretty cool thing to have. Well, there you have it. That is the Giant Hunter's Handbook. All in all, it's a good book. I'm currently playing in a campaign where we're going to be going to a land of giants, so this is going to be pretty cool. Some of the things are going to get used and be maybe even abused a little bit. Because I think we're going to be going into a land of giants and we're probably not a high enough level to handle all of the encounters that we're going to come across. So I'm looking forward to it. All in all, the book is well balanced. There's a lot of information that is very specific to the giant hunting giants and background information, things like that. It is just as much a tool for a player as it is a GM. And you know, thanks for watching. Again, this is Matt Lemke with Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com. And please check out our Kickstarter that's going to launch March 1st. There's going to be a link like here-ish or here-ish, somewhere on here like that, you know, wild and wacky thing. And have a good day. See you next Thursday for, I think we're doing Lost Treasures. Talk to you later.